The girl with the orange tray. Every morning before the sun even rose above the rooftops, a small girl with tired eyes would walk barefoot down the dusty road. Her name was Amara. Balancing a tray of oranges on her head, she'd weave through traffic, calling out in a soft but firm voice, "Sweet orange, fresh orange, buy your orange, please." To most people, she was invisible, just another market girl trying to survive another day. But inside that little girl was a storm of dreams, bigger than anyone could imagine. Amara wasn't born into comfort. Her father died when she was only 6, leaving her mother to raise 4 children alone. School became a luxury they couldn't afford. So by the time she turned 10, she was already in the streets, selling oranges under the blazing sun. Every coin mattered. Some days she made just enough to buy Gary and beans for dinner. Other days, she went to bed hungry, watching her little brothers sleep with empty stomachs. But Amara never complained. She always said something her late father used to tell her. No condition is forever. Even rain stops, and the sun still shines. Hard days, empty pockets. Life wasn't kind to Amara. Every day started the same way, with her mother's whisper, "Amara, wake up, my child. It's morning." And just like that, the routine began. She'd wash her face with cold water from a rusty bowl, pack her oranges into a cracked plastic basin, and tie her worn-out slippers before heading out. Her mother would always say, "Be careful on the road, my daughter. Don't chase after moving cars. Just trust God." Amara would nod, smile faintly, and start her long walk to the main road. The sun in Lagos was no joke. By midday, the heat felt like fire, burning her tiny shoulders. But Amara couldn't stop. She'd stand at the same junction every day, right by the bus stop, calling out to strangers who barely looked her way. Sometimes drivers would shout at her. Sometimes people would push past her. Sometimes she'd get scammed by customers who took oranges but never paid. But what hurt her most wasn't hunger or the heat. It was watching other kids, her age, walking home from school with their uniforms neat, laughing, holding books in their hands. She'd pause for a second, pretending to adjust her tray, just so she could watch them. That was her quiet dream. To wear a uniform, carry a backpack, and write her name on a chalkboard. But instead, she carried oranges. One particular day, after walking for hours under the sun, Amara came home with barely 200 naira. Her mother looked at her, tired and worried. "That's all?" she asked gently. Amara nodded, fighting back tears. "They didn't buy today, Mama." Her mother sighed, breaking the last piece of bread in half. "We'll share this. Tomorrow will be better." But Amara could see it. Her mother's hands trembling, her face pale. The woman was doing everything to keep the family alive. That night, as the power went out again and the room sank into darkness, Amara whispered a promise to herself. "One day, I'll make sure Mama never has to sell anything again." She didn't know how, but she believed it with all her heart. The spark of hope. It happened on one of those hot, frustrating afternoons when the traffic seemed endless and her throat was dry from shouting, "Sweet orange, fresh orange." Cars crawled past in slow motion, horns blaring, people sweating, and dust rising everywhere. Amara's slippers had already torn at the edge, and she could feel the heat from the tar burning her feet. But she stayed there, determined. Then, something strange happened. A black SUV rolled to a stop beside her. The tinted window slowly came down, and a man in a neat shirt leaned out. "How much for 1 dozen?" he asked. Amara blinked, confused. Sir, 1,200 naira," she stammered. The man smiled. "All right, give me 2 dozens." Her eyes widened. 2 dozens? Nobody ever bought that many. She quickly packed the oranges into a nylon bag, her small hands trembling. As she handed them over, the man gave her a crisp 5,000 naira note. "Keep the change," he said. Amara froze. "Sir, sir, please, it's too much." He chuckled. "It's okay. Use it to buy yourself lunch." Then the car drove off. She stood there for a few seconds, completely speechless. 5,000 naira? That was more than she made in a week. For the first time in a long while, she felt something different. A spark. Not just because of the money, but because someone actually saw her. That night, she told her mother what happened, her voice trembling with excitement. Her mother looked at her, tears gathering in her eyes. Maybe God has started to hear our prayers. And from that moment, Amara began to see life differently. She still sold oranges, but now she carried herself with quiet pride. When other girls complained, she'd say, "This is just the beginning. I'm going somewhere." One evening, as she was arranging her fruits, she overheard two women talking about a free vocational training program at a local church for girls who couldn't afford school. Something in her heart leaped. That night, she told her mother again, "Mama, I want to go, even if it's just to learn sewing or anything." Her mother smiled weakly. "If it's free, then go, my daughter. Go and learn. Maybe your destiny is waiting there." And she did. She started attending classes every evening after selling oranges. She was the youngest in the group, but also the most eager to learn. They taught tailoring, soap making, and basic business skills. Amara soaked up every word like a sponge. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just surviving. She was learning. The turning point. The church hall smelled faintly of detergent and hope. Every evening after the market closed, Amara would rush there, her clothes still damp with sweat, her hands sticky with orange juice, but her eyes filled with determination. At first, she could barely keep up. The older women in the class laughed gently when she mixed her soap wrongly or stitched her fabric sideways. But Amara never gave up. She'd stay behind after class, watching how others worked until she got it right. The trainer, a woman named Auntie Grace, noticed her dedication. One day, she called Amara aside and said, "You remind me of myself when I was your age. Life didn't give us much, but we made something out of the little we had. Keep pushing, my dear. God rewards effort." Those words stuck to Amara's heart like glue. Weeks turned into months, and Amara began to master soap making. She'd take some of her small profits from orange sales to buy ingredients, caustic soda, oil, fragrance, and made tiny bars of soap at night in front of her house. Her mother thought it was just a hobby, but Amara had bigger plans. She started carrying a few bars along with her oranges each day. As she called out to passers-by, she added a new line. "Fresh orange. Sweet soap too. Try one." At first, people laughed. "Oranges and soap? What kind of market is that?" But Amara wasn't bothered. She kept going. And slowly, people started to notice her soap. It smelled nice, it lathered well, and it lasted longer than the cheap brands in the market. Word spread around the area. "That orange girl makes good soap-o." Within months, her small batch started selling faster than her oranges. That's when Auntie Grace called her again. "Amara," she said with a smile, "you have something special here. But if you want to grow, you must learn how to run a real business. Come with me next week. I'll introduce you to someone." That someone turned out to be a local NGO coordinator who helped small women-owned businesses get small grants and basic business training. Amara was nervous that day. She'd never sat in an office before. Her slippers were dusty, her dress faded. But when the woman asked her what she did, Amara spoke with quiet confidence. "I sell oranges, Ma, but I also make soap. Good soap, and I want to grow it." The woman smiled, impressed. "You make soap yourself?" "Yes, Ma, I learned from church." The woman nodded and said, "All right, bring me 5 bars tomorrow." Amara didn't sleep that night. She stayed up till dawn, carefully cutting, wrapping, and labeling her soaps with handwritten tags that said, "I'm a fresh soap." The next day, she presented them. The woman loved it. The smell, the packaging, everything. 2 weeks later, Amara got a call she'd never forget. She had been selected to receive a 50,000 Naira grant to expand her soap business. She couldn't believe it. She ran home, shouting, "Mama, Mama, we made it! God has done it!" Her mother cried tears of joy that day, holding her daughter close. And that was the moment everything changed. The day a roadside orange seller became a businesswoman. The breakthrough moment Amara could still hardly believe it. 50,000 Naira felt like a million to her. She held the brown envelope tightly that day, almost afraid it might vanish if she blinked too long. That night, she and her mother sat under the flickering bulb in their small one-room house, planning what to do. Her mother wanted her to use part of the money for food, but Amara shook her head. "Mama, let's invest everything. Let's buy materials. This soap will take us out of poverty." Her mother smiled, pride filling her eyes. "You have your father's spirit, Amara. He always believed in big dreams." So they went to the local market the next morning and bought what they needed: gallons of palm oil, caustic soda, colors, fragrances, and wrapping papers. This time, Amara worked differently. She experimented with better recipes, adding natural ingredients like aloe vera and honey that she read about from borrowed magazines. Her soaps started to smell better, look better, and sell faster. She gave samples to bus drivers, hairdressers, and even nurses at a nearby clinic. Everyone loved it. And then came the big break. One day, a woman who worked at a local supermarket stopped by her stand. She bought 2 bars and promised to call if she liked them. Amara didn't think much of it. People made promises all the time. But a week later, her phone buzzed. It was the same woman. "Hello, Amara. My boss wants to meet you. We sell soaps in bulk and we'd love to try yours." Amara almost dropped the phone. She didn't even have proper packaging yet, just nylon wraps and handwritten tags. But she said yes anyway. She stayed up all night designing better labels using a borrowed pen and colored paper from her neighbor's child. The next day, she went to the supermarket trembling but smiling. The manager tested her soap, loved it, and said, "Young lady, bring us 50 pieces every week. We'll pay up front." That moment was magic. Amara's heart pounded as she walked home that day. She'd just secured her first big deal. The same girl who once begged drivers to buy oranges was now supplying a supermarket. From then on, life moved faster. She stopped selling oranges completely and focused on her soap. She rented a small corner shop, painted the walls yellow, and boldly wrote above the entrance, "Ama Fresh Naturals." Soon, customers started trooping in: women, students, and even small shop owners who wanted to resell her products. The little girl who once feared she'd never make it was now giving other girls hope. But success came with challenges too. Demand grew faster than she could handle. Supplies ran short. Some batches failed. She cried sometimes, wanting to quit. But each time she felt like giving up, her mother would remind her, "My daughter, remember where you started. Under the hot sun. If you survived that, you can survive anything." Those words kept her going. Amara began learning about branding, customer care, and how to manage money, mostly from free online videos at the local cyber cafe. She reinvested every Naira she made, refusing to buy fancy things. She knew her time would come. And it did, sooner than she expected. New doors, new dreams. Amara's shop soon became the talk of the neighborhood. People called her the soap girl who never gave up. Every morning, she opened her little yellow shop with a smile, sweeping the floor, arranging her neatly packed soaps, and greeting everyone who passed by. The sweet scent of coconut and honey always filled the air. drawing customers like bees to nectar. But she didn't stop there. Amara was hungry for more, not for money, but for growth. One day, a customer asked her a simple question that changed everything. Amara, do you have this soap in liquid form? I'd love to use it as a body wash. Amara paused. She hadn't thought about that. But that night, she stayed up researching how to make liquid soap. She mixed and tested, sometimes failing, sometimes laughing at her mistakes. By the third week, she had her first batch. It was perfect, smooth, fragrant, and gentle on the skin. Her customers loved it. Soon, her Fresh liquid wash became a hit. And then something she never dreamed of happened. A small local radio station invited her for an interview after hearing about her story through the supermarket manager. She almost said no. She was shy and she thought, who would want to hear about me? But her mother said, go, my daughter. Tell them how far God has brought you. Your story will help someone else. So she went. She wore her cleanest dress, tied her headscarf neatly, and walked into the radio station with her heart pounding. When the interviewer asked her how it all began, she smiled softly and said, I was just a little girl selling oranges by the roadside. I didn't have much, just a dream that one day life would change. And I never stopped believing. Her voice was calm, but it carried power. The next day, calls began to pour in. People wanted to buy her soap, partner with her, and even invite her to speak to young women in schools. That radio interview changed everything. An NGO reached out, offering to sponsor her to attend a small business exhibition in Abuja. She had never been on a plane before, never left Lagos, and never imagined her soap would travel that far. At the exhibition, she displayed her soaps proudly. People loved her brand name, Fresh Naturals. They loved her story even more. A businesswoman from Ghana approached her stand and said, young lady, you have a great product. Have you thought about exporting? Amara smiled shyly. Not yet, Ma, but I'm learning. That same woman would later connect her to suppliers and distributors outside Nigeria. It was the beginning of something far bigger than Amara ever planned. When she got back home, she was welcomed like a hero. The local newspaper even wrote about her, from oranges to empire, how a roadside girl built a soap brand that's making waves. But Amara didn't let fame get to her head. She went straight back to her workshop and kept working harder. She hired 2 women from her street to help her with production, both single mothers who were struggling just like she once did. Then she trained 3 more girls from her church who couldn't afford school. She told them, don't see yourselves as poor. You are only waiting for your own breakthrough. It will come if you keep pushing. Her dream was no longer just about herself. It was now about others too, helping them rise like she did. And slowly, Fresh Naturals became more than a soap company. It became a symbol of hope. When the world finally noticed her. By the time Amara turned 26, Fresh Naturals was no longer just a name on soap wrappers. It was a movement. Her soaps were being sold in big stores across Lagos, Abuja, and even in parts of Ghana and Togo. She had built a small factory with 10 workers, all women from low-income backgrounds. Every one of them had a story: widows, single mothers, school dropouts, and Amara made sure they earned fair pay and dignity. She often said, if I could rise from the roadside, then every woman can rise from wherever she is. Her passion soon caught the attention of the media again. Local TV stations started featuring her story. She'd sit in the studio, confident now, glowing, and talk about her journey with humility. But the biggest surprise came one morning when she got an email from a global women's foundation based in the United Kingdom. They had read about her work and wanted to nominate her for an international award recognizing young African entrepreneurs who were changing lives. At first, Amara thought it was a scam. Why would people from abroad notice me? She laughed. But it was real. A month later, she was on a plane to London, her first time outside Africa. She sat by the window, staring at the clouds, whispering prayers of gratitude. From oranges to the sky. Who would have thought? She said quietly, smiling through tears. When she arrived, she walked into the grand hall filled with successful women from all over the world, CEOs, innovators, leaders. She felt small again, just like that little market girl she once was. But when her name was called, the Rising Entrepreneur Award goes to Amara Nwosu, founder of Ama Fresh Naturals, Nigeria. The hall erupted in applause. She walked to the stage, her heart racing, tears rolling down her cheeks. And when she spoke, her words touched everyone in the room. 110 years ago, I was that girl standing by the roadside with a tray of oranges, dreaming of a better life. Today, I stand here not just for myself, but for every young girl who thinks her dream is too far away. Never stop believing. You never know when your story will change. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. After that, things moved faster than she could keep up. International investors reached out. Her products began shipping to other countries. She was invited to speak at universities and youth conferences, where she told her story with tears, laughter, and truth. Back home in Nigeria, her community couldn't be prouder. The same dusty road where she once shouted, "Sweet Orange," now had a big billboard that read, "Welcome to Ama Fresh Empire. Locally made, globally loved." She even built a training center for young girls, offering free classes in soap making, tailoring, and business management. She called it the Ama Fresh Women's Initiative. And every time she walked through those halls and saw the eager faces of the girls learning, she felt something deep. Peace. Because this time, it wasn't just about her story anymore. It was about changing stories. The empire she built years passed, and the world changed around Amara. But one thing never did. Her humble heart. Even as she sat in her beautiful office with shelves filled with Ama Fresh products and awards glistening on the walls, she still remembered where it all began. The roadside. The orange tray, the hot sun, the little girl who refused to give up. Sometimes she'd drive past that same old junction where she used to sell. The traffic was still there, the shouts of hawkers still filled the air, and she'd quietly smile. One day, she stopped her car and stepped out. People looked surprised. Wasn't that the famous soap woman they'd seen on TV? She walked over to a young girl selling oranges, about the same age she once was, and asked softly, "My dear, how much for 1 dozen?" The girl looked up shyly. 1,500 naira, auntie." Amara smiled and handed her 10,000 naira. "Keep the change." The girl's eyes widened. "Ah, auntie, please, it's too much." Amara chuckled. "It's okay. Use it to buy something for yourself. And never forget, you can be more than this." She watched the girl's face light up, and for a moment she saw herself. The same spark, the same hunger to rise. That day, as she drove off, Amara realized something profound. Success wasn't just about money or fame. It was about impact. The ability to lift others the same way life once lifted her. Over time, her empire expanded beyond soaps. She ventured into skincare, opened branches in several countries, and employed hundreds of people. But she still lived simply. She still visited her mother every Sunday. She still gave free talks at schools and youth centers. And whenever people asked her the secret to her success, she always smiled and said, "It's not magic, it's consistency. Keep doing your best, even when no one is watching. God will send the right eyes your way." Her story spread across Africa. The story of the girl who sold oranges and built an empire with her bare hands and burning faith. She became a symbol of hope, not because she was perfect, but because she proved that starting small is not the problem. Staying small in your mind is. And so, every time someone walks past a roadside vendor, they remember Amara's story. The little girl who turned sweat into gold and dreams into destiny. So, the next time you see that child selling fruits under the sun, don't just see a hawker. See potential. See the next Amara. See the next empire waiting to be born. Because life isn't about where you start. It's about what you do with what you have. And sometimes all it takes is one spark of belief.